The breaking point. The crystalline spires of the Zendari High Council chamber stretched toward the violet sky of Nexus Prime, their surfaces reflecting the light of 3 setting suns. Within the chamber, Admiral Thora Reeves stood as the sole human representative, her decorated uniform standing in stark contrast to the flowing bioorganic attire of the Zendari diplomats. The tension in the room was palpable as High Sovereign Lyra Valen addressed the assembly, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with each carefully measured word. The peace talks had been progressing smoothly until the High Sovereign suddenly stumbled mid-sentence. Her usual grace faltered, and her silver-scaled hands trembled as they gripped the ancient podium. Admiral Reeves noticed something was wrong before anyone else, a subtle change in the High Sovereign's usually melodic voice, a flicker of fear in her multifaceted eyes. "High Sovereign," Reeves called out, breaking protocol. The Zendari guards shifted uncomfortably, their ceremonial weapons humming with contained energy. But Reeves had spent too many years in crisis situations to ignore her instincts. Something was terribly wrong. The High Sovereign's eyes met Reeves's, and in that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. Then, without warning, Lyra Valen collapsed, her body contorting as if fighting an invisible force. The chamber erupted into chaos as the Zendari medical team rushed forward, their diagnostic instruments casting holographic readings into the air. Reeves pushed through the crowd, her military training taking over. The Zendari doctors' tentacle-like appendages waved frantically over their fallen leader, but their advanced technology seemed useless against whatever was afflicting her. "Step aside," Reeves commanded, her voice cutting through the pandemonium. To everyone's surprise, including her own, the guards parted. Dr. Rylan Nasir, the human expedition's xenobiologist, appeared at her side. His dark eyes narrowed as he studied the readings. "These neural patterns are impossible," he muttered, pulling out his own modified scanner. "It's as if her consciousness is being systematically suppressed." The High Sovereign's personal guard, Commander Vex, bristled at their proximity. "This is a matter for Zendari medicine," he hissed, but Reeves stood her ground. "Your medicine isn't working," she responded firmly. "Dr. Nasir specializes in cross-species neural mapping. Let him help." The seconds ticked by as Commander Vex weighed his options, his protective instincts warring with desperate necessity. Finally, he nodded. Dr. Nasir worked quickly, his fingers dancing over his scanner's interface. "There's an external signal interfering with her neural patterns," he announced. "It's sophisticated, almost like it was designed specifically for Zendari physiology." Reeves's eyes darted around the chamber, taking in details others might miss. The High Sovereign's crown, a masterpiece of Zendari biotechnology, pulsed with an unusual rhythm. "The crown," she said suddenly. "It's not just ceremonial, is it?" Commander Vex's expression shifted. "It is an ancient artifact, meant to connect the High Sovereign with our people's collective consciousness. And if someone had access to its frequency?" Dr. Nasir asked, his scanner now focused on the crown itself. The readings confirmed their suspicions, the crown had been transformed into a weapon. Without waiting for permission, Reeves reached for the crown. Several guards moved to stop her, but Commander Vex held them back, having seen the same evidence they had. The moment the crown left the High Sovereign's head, her body relaxed, and her breathing steadied. Within minutes, Lyra Valen's eyes fluttered open. The chamber fell silent as she took in the scene, her crown in human hands, her guards frozen in uncertainty, and the faces of those who had saved her life. "The Council," she whispered, her voice hoarse but gaining strength. "They feared our alliance with humanity would diminish their power. This was their answer." Reeves handed the crown to Dr. Nasir for safekeeping. "Then perhaps it's time for new leadership in the Council," she suggested, helping the High Sovereign to her feet. Lyra Valen's bioluminescent markings pulsed with renewed vigor. "Indeed, Admiral Reeves. But first, we must uncover the full extent of this conspiracy." The Council's reach is vast, and I fear this attempt on my life is only the beginning. Commander Vex stepped forward, his posture rigid with barely contained rage. My team is at your disposal, High Sovereign. We will find those responsible. Not alone, Reeves interjected. This attack has made one thing clear, the old ways of isolation are over. Humanity and the Zendari must work together if we're to prevent further attempts at destabilizing our alliance. The High Sovereign studied Reeves for a long moment before a slight smile curved her iridescent lips. You are correct, Admiral. Perhaps this crisis will forge a stronger bond between our peoples than any treaty could have achieved. As the chamber buzzed with activity, Reeves couldn't shake the feeling that they had stumbled upon something far larger than a simple assassination attempt. The Council's desperate action had revealed their hand, but the game was far from over. Whatever came next would reshape the future of human-Zendari relations forever. Echoes of deception. In the depths of the Nexus Prime's ancient archives, Dr. Rylan Nasir hunched over the compromised crown, his modified scanner revealing layers of sophisticated tampering. Admiral Reeves paced nearby, her boots silent on the archive's living crystal floor. The room hummed with the collective knowledge of the Zendari civilization, stored in crystalline matrices that lined the walls. Someone overwrote the crown's base frequency, Nasir muttered, his dark eyes reflecting the holographic data streaming before him. The modification signatures are masked, but they're there. Whoever did this had intimate knowledge of Zendari biotechnology. A soft chime announced the arrival of High Sovereign Lyra Valen, accompanied by her most trusted advisor, Oracle Kira Zen. The Oracle's silver robes whispered across the floor as she moved, her blind eyes covered by a lattice of living metal that enhanced her natural telepathic abilities. The Council chambers have been sealed, Lyra announced, her luminescent markings dimmed with fatigue. Commander Vex has detained the most suspicious members, but we must tread carefully. The Council's influence extends far beyond these walls. Oracle Zen approached the crown, her cybernetic enhancement humming as she sensed the altered frequencies. There is darkness here, she whispered, but also fear. The Council acts not from strength, but from terror of what is to come. Reeves stopped her pacing. Terror of what? The alliance between our peoples would benefit both sides. Perhaps that is precisely what frightens them, Nasir suggested, looking up from his work. The Zendari have been the dominant species in this sector for millennia. Humanity's rapid advancement might represent a threat to that dominance. A new voice joined the conversation, causing everyone to turn. You understand more than most of your kind, Dr. Nasir. Archivist Thorn emerged from between the crystal matrices, his aged scales bearing the distinctive patterns of a scholar caste. But the Council's fear runs deeper than mere political power. The archivist approached slowly, his movements deliberate. In my years of study, I have uncovered evidence of an ancient prophecy. One that speaks of a great shift in the cosmic order, brought about by the union of two younger races. Oracle Zen's enhancement flickered. The convergence prophecy. It was struck from official records centuries ago. And yet its shadow still haunts the Council, Thorn continued. They believe that humanity's arrival and the proposed alliance fulfill the prophecy's first signs. In their minds, preventing this union is crucial to maintaining the natural order. Reeves crossed her arms. So they'd rather commit assassination than face change? That's not the action of wise leaders. Fear rarely breeds wisdom, Admiral, Lyra responded, her voice heavy with disappointment. But we must act quickly. If the Council truly believes they're preventing cosmic upheaval, they won't stop with one attempt. Nasir suddenly straightened, his scanner beeping urgently. The Crown's modification, I've isolated its origin point. The signal was routed through multiple secure channels, but they all lead back to the Temple of Ancestral Memory. The revelation sent a shock through the room. The temple was the seat of Zendari spiritual power, supposedly independent of political influence. Oracle Zen's enhancement crackled with energy. The High Priests. They've aligned with the Council. More than aligned, Archivist Thorn added grimly. They've provided religious justification for the Council's actions. Any opposition can now be branded as heresy against the Ancestral Order. Reeves's tactical mind raced with implications. You're facing a coup, not just an assassination attempt. They're trying to eliminate progressive leadership and replace it with hardline traditionalists. The Temple's involvement changes everything, Lyra said, her markings pulsing with renewed energy. They have access to technologies even I don't fully understand. Ancient weapons, dormant for generations. Then we need to move first, Reeves declared. Dr. Nasir, can you use the Crown's modifications to trace back to their systems? Better than that, he replied, fingers flying over his scanner. I can use their own signal as a backdoor. They never expected human technology to interface with their biotech. We can see everything they're planning. Oracle Zen stepped forward, her enhancement glowing brighter. I can help. My abilities, combined with your technology, might pierce the Temple's psychic defenses. It's dangerous, Lyra warned. If they detect our intrusion. With respect, High Sovereign, Reeves interrupted, they've already shown their hand. The longer we wait, the more time they have to consolidate power. We need to act now. Archivist Thorn moved to a crystal matrix, his claws dancing across its surface. I can provide access to the Temple's historical archives. There may be weapons of our own hidden in the past. As the group began their preparations, Reeves couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something momentous. The prophecy, the coup, the merging of human and Zendari capabilities, it all seemed to be converging toward an inevitable confrontation. Whatever comes next, she said quietly to Lyra, humanity stands with you. The High Sovereign's markings brightened momentarily. Then perhaps the Council's greatest fear will become their undoing. Together, we may reshape the galaxy in ways neither of our peoples could imagine. Shadows of Power. Deep beneath the Temple of Ancestral Memory, Admiral Reeves and Oracle Zen navigated through bioluminescent tunnels that pulsed with ancient power. Dr. Nasir followed close behind, his scanner modified to mask their life signs from the Temple's security systems. The air grew thick with psychic energy, making even Reeves's untrained mind buzz with strange sensations. The inner sanctuary lies ahead, Oracle Zen whispered, her cybernetic enhancement dimmed to avoid detection. The High Priests gather there for their most secret rituals. If there's evidence of their collusion with the Council, we'll find it there. Commander Vex's voice crackled through their secure comm channel. Movement at the Temple's main entrance. A delegation of Council members just arrived. Something's happening. They're gathering, Archivist Thorn's aged voice added from his position in the archives. The old texts speak of a ritual of purification. If they're attempting what I fear, the entire capital could be at risk. Reeves signaled the team to halt as voices echoed from around the corner. 2 Temple guards passed by, their ceremonial armor enhanced with modern weapons tech. Once they were gone, Nasir consulted his scanner. The energy readings are off the scale, he reported. They're channeling power from somewhere deep beneath the temple. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Oracle Zen's enhancement flickered as she processed the psychic atmosphere. The ancestral grid. They're tapping into the planet's own neural network. The same system that connects all Zendari consciousness. Can they use that to control the population? Reeves asked, her tactical mind already assessing scenarios. Worse, Zen replied. They could sever the connection entirely. Imagine millions of minds suddenly cut off from their collective consciousness. The shock would be devastating. A low hum began to vibrate through the tunnels, growing in intensity. Nasir's scanner sparked with feedback. They're starting something. The power surge is massive. We need to move, Reeves decided. How far to the inner sanctuary? Before Zen could answer, a new voice echoed through their minds. Closer than you think. The tunnel wall beside them dissolved, revealing High Priest Varek and a contingent of temple guards. Your resistance ends here. Reeves reached for her weapon, but Varek raised a hand. Invisible force wrapped around them, holding them in place. Your primitive tools are useless against ancestral power, he said, his scales gleaming with augmented biotechnology. The council was right. Humanity's influence must be purged before it corrupts our sacred traditions. Your sacred traditions include betraying your own leader? Reeves challenged, fighting against the psychic restraints. High Sovereign Lyra Valen lost her way, Varek responded. She would dilute our species' purity with foreign alliances. The prophecy must not come to pass. Oracle Zen's enhancement suddenly blazed with light. The prophecy speaks of evolution, not corruption. You fear change because you cannot control it. Control is precisely what we shall maintain, Varek declared. Energy coursed through the tunnels, making the very air crackle. The purification ritual will cleanse our civilization of external influence. Those who survive will remember their true path. You're wrong about one thing, Nasir said calmly, his fingers moving subtly over his scanner. Our tools aren't as primitive as you think. A pulse of electromagnetic energy erupted from the scanner, disrupting the temple's biotech network. The psychic restraints faltered, and chaos erupted in the tunnel. Temple guards rushed forward as Reeves and Zen sprang into action. The sanctuary. Zen called out, her enhancement guiding their way through the confusion. We must reach the ritual chamber. They fought their way through the tunnels, Reeves's combat training complementing Zen's psychic abilities. Nasir's modified technology kept the temple's defenses scrambled, but they could feel the ritual's power building around them. High Priest Varek's voice boomed through the complex. You cannot stop what has already begun. The purification will restore the natural order. They burst into the inner sanctuary, finding it transformed into a nexus of pulsing energy. Council members and high priests stood in a circle around a central pillar of light that reached down into the planet's core. The ancestral grid's power was being twisted, corrupted by their desperate fear of change. If they complete the ritual, Zen warned, the damage will be irreversible. Reeves surveyed the chamber, noting defensive positions and power conduits. Then we don't let them complete it. Nasir, can you disrupt their connection to the grid? Not alone, he answered, studying the energy patterns. The biotech is too integrated with their systems. Oracle Zen stepped forward, her enhancement blazing. Not alone, she agreed. Together. Human technology and Zendari abilities, just as they fear. Perhaps it's time to embrace the prophecy rather than fight it. As temple guards poured into the sanctuary and the ritual reached its crescendo, Reeves readied herself for the fight of her life. The future of two civilizations hung in the balance, and the true meaning of the prophecy was about to be revealed. Rise of Unity. Energy crackled through the inner sanctuary as Admiral Reeves dove behind an ancient pillar, plasma bolts from temple guard weapons scorching the air where she had stood. The ritual's power continued to build, casting everything in an otherworldly glow. At the chamber's center, High Priest Varek and the council members chanted in unison, their voices resonating with the ancestral grid's deepening hum. Gar. Nasir worked frantically at his scanner, connected to Oracle Zen's enhancement through a hastily crafted interface. The ritual is accelerating, he called out. They're not just trying to sever the collective consciousness, they're attempting to rewrite it. Imagine, Varek's voice boomed over the chaos, a civilization purified of alien influence. A return to true Zendari supremacy. The pillar of light pulsing from the chamber's core grew brighter, and screams began to echo from the city above as the population felt the first effects of the psychic assault. Reeves's calm crackled to life with Commander Vex's urgent voice. "Admiral, the High Sovereign is mobilizing loyal forces, but civilians are collapsing in the streets. Whatever they're doing, it's affecting everyone." Through a gap in the firefight, Reeves caught sight of Oracle Zen's face contorted in concentration. "The prophecy," Zen gasped, her enhancement glowing brighter than ever. "We misunderstood. It wasn't about political alliance, it was about this moment. The merging of abilities." "Explain quickly," Reeves ordered, returning fire at advancing temple guards. "Human technology, Zendari biotechnology, both evolved separately but complementary," Nasir cut in, understanding dawning in his eyes. "Like two halves of a greater whole." A massive tremor shook the chamber as the ritual reached a new intensity. Council members began to glow with borrowed power, their forms shifting as they channeled the ancestral grid's energy. High Priest Varek rose into the air, his scales now luminescent with corrupted power. "You see," he declared. "This is true power. The power to reshape reality itself." "More like the power to destroy it," Nasir muttered, his scanner displaying alarming readings. "The grid wasn't meant to be used this way. They're creating feedback loops in the planetary consciousness. If they succeed, they'll do more than just sever the collective mind, they'll drive the entire species insane." Oracle Zen suddenly grabbed Reeves's arm. "Admiral, your mind, it's different. Untouched by the collective consciousness. You could be the anchor we need." Understanding flashed between them. A human mind, operating outside the Zendari psychic network, combined with Zen's enhanced abilities and Nasir's technical expertise, it was exactly what the prophecy had foretold. Not a political alliance, but a synthesis of capabilities. "What do you need me to do?" Reeves asked, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Let me into your mind," Zen replied. "Your consciousness, combined with my connection to the grid and Dr. Nasir's technical interface, we can create a counter-resonance. But you'll have to trust me completely." Another tremor rocked the chamber. Above them, Varek's voice rose to a fever pitch as the ritual entered its final phase. There was no time for doubt. "Do it," Reeves commanded. Oracle Zen's enhancement flared as she established the connection. Reeves gasped as her mind expanded, suddenly aware of the vast network of Zendari consciousness. She felt Nasir's technical interface like a steady beacon, grounding the overwhelming sensations in familiar patterns of data and energy. Through their merged awareness, they could see what the Council and High Priests could not, the damage their ritual was causing to the very fabric of Zendari civilization. But they could also see the solution. "Now!" Zen commanded. Reeves opened her mind fully, allowing her human consciousness to act as a template, a pattern of individual thought existing in harmony with collective awareness. Nasir's interface translated this pattern into the grid's language, while Zen's powers amplified it throughout the network. The effect was immediate and stunning. The corrupted energy feeding the ritual suddenly found a new path, a new pattern to follow. Instead of severing connections, it began strengthening them, but in a new way that preserved individual identity within the collective. High Priest Varek screamed in rage and disbelief as his ritual transformed before his eyes. "What have you done?" "Fulfilled the prophecy," Oracle Zen answered, her voice echoing with power. "Not through destruction, but through synthesis. Not through fear, but through trust." The pillar of light shifted, its color changing from sickly purple to brilliant gold. Throughout the city, the screams of pain transformed into gasps of wonder as the Zendari people experienced something entirely new, a collective consciousness that enhanced rather than subsumed their individuality. "Impossible," Varek whispered, his stolen power fading as the grid reoriented itself to the new pattern. Around him, council members dropped to their knees, their own connections to the corrupted energy severed. Through their linked consciousness, Reeves felt the arrival of High Sovereign Lyra Valen and her forces. The temple was secured, the conspirators arrested, but these physical actions seemed almost secondary to the profound transformation taking place in Zendari society. As the connection gently faded, Reeves found herself looking at her allies with new understanding. They had done more than stop a coup, they had guided an entire civilization into a new era of existence. "You know," she said with a slight smile, "when I was assigned this diplomatic mission, I didn't expect to help rewrite the fundamental nature of an alien society." The best diplomacy, Lyra Valen's voice came from the chamber entrance, often achieves what no one expects. The High Sovereign surveyed the scene with evident satisfaction. "Though I suspect our real work is just beginning." Legacy of Change. 1 month after the Temple crisis, Admiral Reeves stood at the observation deck of the newly constructed Unity Spire, watching ships from both civilizations weave gracefully through Nexus Prime's violet skies. The city below had transformed, its ancient architecture now complemented by examples of human Zendari collaborative engineering. But the physical changes paled in comparison to the societal transformation taking place. "The integration continues to exceed our most optimistic projections," Dr. Nasir said, joining her at the window. His scanner, now permanently modified with Zendari biotech components, displayed streams of data about the ongoing merger of their technologies. What used to take years of research now happens in weeks. The scientific community is calling it the Great Synthesis. "And the population?" Reeves asked, though she could already sense the answer through the subtle psychic awareness she'd retained from her connection to the grid. "Adapting remarkably well," Oracle Zen answered, entering the chamber with High Sovereign Lyra Valen. The Oracle's enhancement had evolved, becoming less mechanical and more organic, a physical representation of the changes sweeping their society. The new collective consciousness allows for both unity and individuality. Many are calling it a renaissance of thought. Lyra's bioluminescent patterns shifted in agreement. The council members who survived the ritual have been enlightening in their confessions. Their fear of change was so deep, they never considered that evolution might strengthen rather than weaken us. "And High Priest Varek?" Reeves inquired, turning from the window. "Silent," Commander Vex reported, joining their gathering. But his silence speaks volumes. The Temple's archives have revealed centuries of manipulation, all based on a fundamental misreading of the ancient prophecies. Archivist Thorne, his aged form supported by a hovering chair of hybrid design, added his perspective. "Not misreading, deliberate misinterpretation. The prophecies never spoke of corruption or downfall, but of transformation and ascension. The Temple leadership chose to see threat where they should have seen opportunity." A soft chime announced the arrival of a holographic projection in the chamber's center. Representatives from both species appeared, gathered in various locations across the sector. The success of the human Zendari integration had sparked interest from other civilizations. "The Galactic Council is convening," Lyra announced. "Our alliance has caught their attention. Many are calling for a re-evaluation of traditional isolation policies." Reeves smiled slightly. "They're afraid we'll have an advantage over them." "They're right to be concerned," Nasir noted, reviewing data on his scanner. "The rate of advancement we're achieving through collaboration is unprecedented. But that's exactly why we need to share what we've learned." Oracle Zen's enhancement flickered with approval. "Fear of change nearly destroyed us. We cannot allow other civilizations to fall into the same trap." The holographic representatives began their discussions, their voices filling the chamber with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Reeves watched as Lyra stepped forward to address them, her presence commanding even across the vast distances of space. "A month ago," the High Sovereign began, "we stood on the brink of disaster. Our fear of change, our desperate grasp on tradition, nearly led us to destroy everything we sought to preserve. But through this crisis, we discovered a fundamental truth: diversity breeds strength. The combination of human innovation and Zendari wisdom has created something greater than either of us could have achieved alone." As if to emphasize her point, a new ship class appeared in the sky outside, the first vessel designed and built through true human-Zendari collaboration. Its organic lines housed advanced human technology, while Zendari biotech pulsed through its systems like a living circulatory system. The prophecy, Archivist Thorne mused, watching the ship, spoke of a convergence that would reshape the galaxy. Perhaps this is only the beginning. Commander Vex, who had once been so protective of Zendari traditions, nodded in agreement. The old ways had their time. Now we forge new traditions, together. The chamber fell silent as they contemplated the future unfolding before them. The crisis had passed, but its impact would ripple through the galaxy for generations to come. What had started as an assassination attempt had evolved into a catalyst for unprecedented change. You know, Reeves said thoughtfully, when this all started, I thought we were just preventing a coup. But we ended up doing something far more important. We proved that the greatest achievements come not from fearing difference, but from embracing it. Lyra turned from her address to the Galactic Council, her markings pulsing with warm acknowledgement. Indeed, Admiral. And perhaps that is the true legacy of these events. Not just the merging of our abilities, but the understanding that evolution is not a threat to be feared, but an opportunity to be welcomed. As the twin suns of Nexus Prime set on the horizon, casting the city in shades of gold and purple, the gathered leaders continued their work. The future they were building would require constant effort, diplomacy, and understanding. But they had already proven that the impossible was achievable when different species worked together not in fear, but in hope. The prophecy had been fulfilled, but not in the way anyone had expected. Instead of heralding the end of an era, it had marked the beginning of something new, a future where the strengths of many would combine to create something greater than the sum of its parts. And in that future, there was room for endless possibility.